Hi, I'm Dr. Katie Landier, the Senior Centered Physical Therapist, and welcome back. The focus of today's video is the pelvic floor. So our pelvic floor is a muscle group that we typically don't pay much attention to unless we have pain, incontinence, or experience a prolapse. However, strengthening our pelvic floor appropriately is really important to preventing issues or even reversing things like incontinence and pain. For more information on urinary incontinence and treatment, you can see my blog, theseniorcenteredpt.com. For this video, we are going to be doing some Kegel exercises, but with some feedback. So many of us have heard or been told to do Kegels, but we don't really know if we're doing them correctly because it's kind of hard to feel. So I'm just gonna show you 2 quick ways that I like to help my clients understand if they're really using their pelvic floor muscles effectively. So for this video, all you'll need is a towel and then a small ball like a Pilates ball. So if you're ready, grab your equipment and let's get started. Alrighty, these are the muscles of our pelvic floor. So for the Kegel exercise, we are going to be mostly working the levator ani, so that's the pubococcygeus as well as iliococcygeus. And then as well, to lift up, we also use a muscle that's not shown here, but that internal urethral sphincter. So contracting those muscles helps lift this pelvic floor, and all of our organs can sit on top of the pelvic floor. So the stronger the floor, the less likely we are to have prolapse, pain, and urinary incontinence. Let's get started. Okay, so with our Kegel exercises, like I mentioned before, one of the biggest things is we just don't have a lot of feedback in that muscle group. So we're gonna use a towel to create that feedback for our first quick trick here. So I've got a hand towel, I folded it, and I'm just gonna roll it. So I'm gonna make this nice little burrito there, and then I'm gonna sit on it. So I'm just gonna lift up, put it under my chair, and sit right there. So the way I like to imagine doing a Kegel is actually maybe a little bit different than you've heard of before. So our pelvic floor actually creates a dome. The dome it mimics is actually the dome of our diaphragm, and that's our breathing muscle. So I like to think of them working together. So when I think of a dome and I think of how a dome moves, a jellyfish is kind of the easiest visual for me. So if you've ever seen a jellyfish swim, it kind of does one of these, right? Kind of flattens out and then lifts up to move along. So we're gonna use that same visual for our Kegel. So I'm gonna inhale. My diaphragm is gonna lower down towards my pelvic floor. We're gonna imagine them both kind of relaxing there. And then I'm gonna exhale, and I'm gonna think about lifting the towel up and in. So I inhale, and then exhale, lift up and in. And you should be able to feel in the towel where your pelvic floor is actually contracting. If you just feel like you're pressing down on the towel, you might not have that Kegel exercise correct. And I would recommend seeing a pelvic floor physical therapist to make sure you're not actually bearing down when you're trying to lift. So let's just do a few more. So we inhale, then exhale, up and in. Inhale, exhale, up and in. Last one, inhale, exhale, up and in. Great job. We can take the towel out of the way, and then you can go ahead and grab your small ball. Okay, so we've got our ball. So this is just a 9-inch ball. If you go to Amazon or Google and type in Pilates ball, this is what's gonna come up. So I got this ball, and then I didn't blow it up to its max capacity, so you can see there's some wrinkles in it, and that's fine. It can have a little give to it. So this exercise I love to do to help strengthen the pelvic floor if your muscles are weak. And what's kind of tricky about it is you don't necessarily feel the pelvic floor as you're doing it, but you really feel it afterwards. Also, just a note, it's possible if you're having incontinence or pain, your pelvic floor is too tight, and you actually may need to back off the Kegel exercises. How would you know that, you're gonna ask? Go see a pelvic floor physical therapist to make sure you're doing the correct exercises. But if you need strength, this is a great one. So you're just gonna take this ball, you're gonna take a few steps out, and you're just gonna stick it right up there. So we're nice and close as we can be. I'm gonna turn my heels just so I'm gonna do a little squat and my heels will go out to the side. So I just bend just a little bit, and then I think about that jellyfish, up and in. Bend, up and in. And I'm trying not to squeeze my glutes. I'm just trying to think of that same lift. So we lower and lift, lower and lift. 2 more. Find the breath. Remember, that's gonna help with the jellyfish. Good. Then you can just remove that ball and you will feel that pelvic floor that it has worked. So those are my 2 tips for strengthening your pelvic floor and being able to make sure you're doing a Kegel correctly. Until next time, I'm Dr. Katie Landier, the Senior-Centered Physical Therapist. Have the strength to live life to the fullest. Bye-bye.